Welcome back to Confident Business English. You're here with me, Anna, your host and neuro-language coach. Today we're going to continue our Real Business Conversation series. The objective of these episodes is really to help you with one of your biggest pain points. What on earth are my colleagues actually saying? When you feel like you can't follow your colleagues, you don't feel part of that conversation. And that's one of the biggest benefits of understanding more. You feel more connected, you're more in control, and like you're actually participating to the conversation and you don't just feel like a lemon. And for you as a senior manager, you want to be part of that conversation, and it can feel very isolating when you think everybody else understands but you don't. So let me help you with that. In this series, I want to give you a snapshot into an actual conversation that you might come across. Build your confidence with the vocabulary and learn some new phrases at the same time. Let's crack on then, shall we? Right then, just before we dive in, don't forget that you can become a member of Confident Business English. You're going to join 10,000 other professionals around the world, and you'll get my weekly newsletter with some extra bits that I don't share on the podcast. You'll also get full transcripts and a copy of the conversation you're going to hear today, so you can listen back to it whenever you like. And the best part is it's completely free, and if you want to join, the link is in the show notes of this episode. Let me give you some context to the conversation that you're going to hear. Different to the previous episodes, what I want to do is actually play you the whole conversation first, which is about 1 minute and 30 seconds. And then after that, I'm going to go over and analyze some of the important bits of vocabulary. It's between two colleagues, as with the other episodes, and they are going to get a coffee together. As you can probably guess, it's going to be a little bit more informal, and it's on a topic that affects many multinational companies. Maybe it's even affecting your company right now. And in fact, the inspiration for this episode came from a client who's going through this process at the moment. I don't really want to give you any other clues aside from that, because I just want you to try and challenge yourself and see if you can follow the conversation without having too much context of exactly what they're going to talk about. Because let's be honest, in life, when we have conversations at work, we don't always get context about what people are going to say. You kind of have to go with the flow. So here you go. Here is the conversation from start to finish.
Hey, do you fancy going to get a coffee? We've got about 15, 20 minutes before the next meeting, and the coffee place is just over there.
Oh yeah, let's. That would be great. Actually, I could do with a bit of a coffee. I'm exhausted.
Oh, and I wanted to ask, have you heard anything about Sally?
No, how come? Has she been fired or something?
Apparently, the exec have decided to do a kind of clear out of middle managers. About 20 of them have gone across the company.
Oh, really? I hadn't heard anything about that, actually. Obviously, I knew there was going to be some kind of reshuffle and moving around and everything, but I'm surprised that Sally's gone. I mean, that's a bit of a shock, I'm sure.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's all about money and cost cutting. It's quite a big loss for the team.
Yeah, I can imagine.
I needed her to sign off a report, and then I realized that her name's gone from the company email addresses. So, she's definitely not on site anymore.
Crikey. Wow, I don't know what that means for the rest of us, but wow, it's
Probably
not looking good then.
More work, I would think.
Yeah, more work as per usual, more work, wanting us to do more with less. Oh, that's a shame. I really liked Sally. She seemed like a good person, a good part of that team. So that's a shame that she's saying that she's not here now.
But it's just cost cutting, isn't it? That's right. What it's about.
Oh, well, I guess at least we're safe, I suppose, for now.
Yeah. Oh, do you want a Kit Kat to go with that?
Oh, yeah, great, actually. How was that? Now, I have to say, the bit at the end, the Kit Kat thing was just a little thing that we added on at the end, so don't worry too much about that, but I wanted to include it because it was funny. Did you manage to pick up what they were talking about? What parts were you not quite sure of? Let me go over then some of the key points that I want to highlight to you about that conversation. I'm going to start in a logical order at the beginning of the conversation, of course. The first thing that she asks me is, do you fancy going to get a coffee? A few people asked me about this question, do you fancy? They're like, is it okay? Does it sound weird? Is it very casual? Yes, it is a casual but also polite way to suggest or invite somebody to have a coffee or go and get lunch. It's absolutely used in a business context, but the key thing is here, it is informal. If we contrast that with somebody where you have a more formal relationship, maybe it's an executive, maybe it's a client, it would sound a little bit too casual. In that case, I would just say, would you like to? Which is a standard formal sentence or question that you could use in those types of situations. In response to her, I said, oh yeah, let's. You might be thinking, can you say let's without saying, yes, let's go and get a coffee? And the answer is yes. We use let's on its own as a casual way to respond to a suggestion without having to say something that's already been mentioned before. Do you want to go and grab a coffee before the meeting? Sure, let's. Essentially what we're saying is let's do that. It doesn't change the meaning at all. We're just being a little bit more efficient and making it shorter. I also said there, I was like, oh, I could really do with a coffee. This is just a really informal way to express, I would really like one. I really need one. I could do with a coffee. I'm absolutely exhausted. Or another very British phrase to talk about being tired is, okay, I'm absolutely knackered. I'm shattered. I could really do with a coffee. Thanks. You might also hear it in another context where we could say, I could really do with some help on this project, actually, because it's becoming quite difficult. Or perhaps your team member says to you, you know what, John, I could really do with a hand on this piece of work, actually. Or maybe you even ask your boss and you could say, I could actually do with a few extra days just to get everything finished. Then she asks me the classic gossip question. Have you heard? Have you heard about Sally? Have you heard about what happened yesterday in the meeting? Have you heard about what they're planning to do in HR? If you want to initiate a conversation about that type of stuff, that is the most or one of the most natural ways to do it. That just got me thinking as well, what is office gossip like in the post-pandemic online working era? Is it better? Is it worse? I really don't know because I'm kind of out of it here. I mean, I'm self-employed. I work for myself. So, the office gossip is about me, me only. I'd be interested to know if because people have less contact with the office, it actually makes it worse because then they kind of come up with their own stories. Or maybe actually because you have less contact with the office, you're just not as concerned with it. I'd really love to know if you have any experience of this as a senior manager. Send me a message on LinkedIn. It would be cool to find out. Anyway, I digress. Let's get back to it. Then after that, I said, no, how come? You might have been wondering about that vocabulary. How come is just a more informal question for why. So all I was saying there was no why. She then went on to say that there had been a clear route of middle managers, and I'm sure you can get from the context that a clear route, exactly like you can do at your house, is just getting rid of people. It's not a very nice way to say it, and you certainly wouldn't say it to somebody's face, but it is what it is. I mean, middle managers, right, are normally the ones that get the brunt of these types of restructuring programs. And if somebody describes an organization as top heavy, that means there's too many managers. And a common complaint that you might find people say is, there's not enough people doing the doing. And what we mean by that is there's not enough people doing the essential, practical admin tasks. There's too many managers. We're too top heavy. It's like a carrot, right? You've got all the managers up here, but nobody that's really doing the doing. Then we had one of my favorite business phrase verb, which is to sign off. She said, I needed Sally to sign off a report. Just means to approve something. Not literally signing something, but to give something the go ahead. After that, I said something like, crikey. What does that mean for the rest of us? Crikey is a British English interjection. You're never going to hear that anywhere else than with British people. And it's just to express surprise. Another similar one is blimey or good grief. All we're trying to do is express some kind of surprise. Then I kind of complain about it and I said, it's just going to be more work as per usual. As per usual is a funny phrase because it's kind of obvious what it means, right? It's like as is typical or as is expected. But the suggestion underneath is that it's happening in the usual or standard way And often it's with a hint of complaint. You know, like, oh, more work as per usual, eye roll. That's kind of the feeling underneath it. It's not like, oh, I hit my target as per usual. No, it's normally when we're making a complaint. Oh, they didn't send the report as per usual. See what I mean? Then at the end, I said, oh, well, at least we're safe. And it's funny because I don't hear people using this phrase, oh, well. And it's a simple one, but it's just an acceptance of the situation. You can't change it. There's nothing that can be done. So there's not really much point worrying about it anymore. So imagine it's just something small and your team did something wrong, but you're like, oh, well, it doesn't really matter. It's not a big deal. We'll fix it next time. Or maybe something has gone quite wrong. Maybe somebody in your team or in your personal life was going for a job and they didn't get the job. And you could say, well, oh, well, it's not the end of the world. There's more jobs out there. In a way, what you're doing is giving reassurance to people. Like, it's not a big deal. Don't worry about it. And you will hear it in less serious situations and more serious situations as well. Those are my hot takes then, my hot picks from the conversation. If you found that conversation easier to follow, challenge yourself to try and use some of the vocabulary that I've talked about today. If just understanding it is what you're interested in for now, maybe put some of the phrases that you've learned today in an application like Anki and review those flashcards until you feel more comfortable that you remember the meaning. And if you're super busy, you've got a lot on your plate at the moment and you can't do very much, just think about one thing that you want to take away from the episode today. One phrase that you want to learn, one phrase that you want to try and implement. Remember that building your confidence comes from practice. Practice makes confident in the end. It doesn't make perfect, but it does make confident. So well done for taking the time to squeeze in this practice with me. Every little helps, and all of this work you're doing will move you closer towards that goal that you have. And I'm really looking forward to being back with you again next week. So have a great day, morning, afternoon, evening, wherever you are, and I'll see you again very soon. Bye-bye.